Hi everyone, this is Above Average Tech Guy. I'm here to try and give you guys a uncut, no skipping around, just doing it uh, tutorial on OBS and streaming. I'm not gonna say I'm a professional with streaming, um, but I have set up a couple streams successfully, no problems, and it always helps to have a thorough walkthrough, no matter what. And you can always fast forward through things you want to skip or already know about. Um, but let's go ahead and get started. So what I have basically open up here is, let me put OBS on the main screen here. Sorry about the infinite OBS. But as of right now, I have only added a right screen capture for your source. So when you boot up OBS, you automatically have this scene here, but nothing else. Usually you won't have any audio set up at all either. You can go to settings, audio, and your desktop audio. I usually have it to default or to my gaming headphones. Then I have a mic and auxiliary input. And so this is my Yeti microphone. And you just go ahead and drop those down. There's a whole bunch of options here. You can add multiples if you want, mute them at will to change. I mean, if you're if you've got a VR headset or something like that, and you want to switch and toggle your audio when you put it on and when you take it off. It depends on your setup. But once you start it, it should prompt you to go to an auto configuration wizard. This is going to test your device and your bandwidth, and it's going to give you the proper settings for streaming. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on it. So I want to stream and optimize for recording secondary. And we'll go with, you know what, we want 60 FPS, but if it hurts, then we'll go down to 30. And you can choose what account you want to stream to. There's a whole bunch of them. And go ahead and connect it and then hit above. But it might just be 1660 and above. But the new NVENC encoders are almost exactly the same quality as the X264 encoders, except that a lot of people say that the NVENC ones actually look better through the whole picture, whereas the X264 are really for like a movie aspect, so it really focuses on the one character, the one major scene, major part of the scene. So I always go with NVENC, and it looks like on here they went with NVENC as well at high quality 1080p at 60 frames per second. Okay, we'll go ahead and apply that setting. Awesome. So how did I get this right screen? This right screen, I hit add, and I chose display capture. You can do 3 different options when it comes to display capture. Really, you can do display capture, game capture, and window capture. Game capture is obviously for your games. It just has a better hook-in rate and allows you to customize, like selecting a specific window. But we'll actually get into that later. We'll go to display capture, and I'm going to capture my middle screen here. Okay, and all right, it's already chosen my middle screen, but I do have 2 others that I can choose from. So they don't specifically number it; they number it to what Windows says is a display. And you can enable cursor to be on there or not. And you can see the cursor moving around. Uncheck that, and I'm doing it at the same spot, no cursor. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cursor on, and my screen is a 1440p monitor, and I have a 1080p canvas. This is the canvas. It's this black piece right here. I'll turn this off, and that's the canvas. It's just all black. So what I need to do pretty much every single time I do display capture or anything else like that, I need to transform it to fit the screen. So the easiest way I do it is go to right click on it. I'm not on the correct one. Transform and fit to screen. Fits perfectly, and it works. What I prefer, especially when I do screen captures, is I prefer to get rid of this taskbar here. This taskbar is something that I just don't like to see. So let's see here. Let's see if I can do that here. So this taskbar right here is what I don't like, and of course, you guys are having trouble seeing that, but it's right there is the taskbar. And what I usually do is, let me fit that screen again. Transform, fit to screen. I'm gonna put this up ahead so you guys can actually see me editing this, because before you weren't able to. I right click on it, transform. Yes, edit transformation. Sorry, I had a whole line of options there. It confused me. And then from there, I just switched the transform. So right here, I cropped 30 pixels off of the bottom, and that allowed me to get rid of my screen capture for my right screen. And you can see a little bit of the bottom here from the other window. So I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to go to transform, edit transformation, bottom, and 30. And you can just up arrow it, down arrow it until you don't see anything, or you do see something. I usually just copy whatever I had before. But there you go, and it auto centers in the frame. So there's a little bit of space up at the top, and there's a little bit of space at the bottom. Pretty much unnoticeable, especially on a stream. But that way, they just don't see your clutter if you have a whole bunch of stuff on your start menu. And if you happen to have something private on the taskbar, it's very rare that would happen. But, and we can go to game capture and create a new game capture. I'm going to go ahead and launch Overwatch here. All right, so I've got Overwatch launched. So I'm going to hit plus and then game capture. And I'm going to name it Overwatch. And so you have two options here, really. It's capture any full screen application or capture a specific window. I really like to do the specific window just to make sure that nothing is ever incorrect, because the windows should be the same all the time, but you can have multiple full screen options available. I mean, you can have a Chrome tab open, but you F11'd it to make it full screen. It would go to that. So I like to just have the specific window selected. And also, I usually run my games in full screen borderless. And so that way, it doesn't actually pick up the full screen because it's in borderless mode. So click on that, click on Overwatch here. And you can limit the capture frame rate if you'd like to help out your CPU. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. It also helps sometimes with jittering or screen tearing that you might see. Go ahead and hit add. And of course, like I said before, I had to transform everything and fit to screen. We've got a fit to screen here. Let me go ahead and zoom out. Just that way you can see what I'm working on here. And if I didn't explain before, it's not easy to move things around unless you select down here. I usually select the source first, and then you can move it around no problem, and transform it. So whatever is bordered red is the one that you're actively on, and you can zoom in, zoom out. You can actually flip it. You can do whatever you want with it. But we're gonna keep it like right there. And the other thing that I haven't talked about is actually I'm gonna go ahead and mute this desktop audio for Overwatch. But the other thing that I haven't talked about was noise gate. And we'll go ahead and click on that. The mic auxiliary settings right here. Go to advanced, or I'm sorry, it's filters and a noise gate. So if I stay absolutely quiet, this bar down here will be, see here. All right, let me get my screens right here. It will be completely quiet in my room, even though it is not completely quiet. I have some fans going, and then I have my computer that's obviously it's loud, but it's loud enough that you can hear a small hum to it. But I'm gonna shut up now, and you're gonna see this bar go to nothing. All right, and that means that nothing's been picked up, and if this threshold here, it's going to close, and it's going to stay closed until there's an open threshold or something loud enough at around negative 26 decibels to open it up back up and start picking up everything. Sometimes this has an issue if you don't have it set up correctly, it might cut like the very first syllable or something like that of what you're starting to say in the very first sentence. You can tweak that a little bit. Just give yourself time. Tweak these settings, go to open threshold, tweak it until it's just barely activating maybe. And you can just do some test recordings by clicking record and seeing what works for you and what doesn't. They also have multiple different options when it comes to filters. You have compressor, there's an NDI source. This is something I'll talk about in a little bit. Expander, gain, polarity, limiter, noise gate is what I have currently on there. You can have noise suppression to keep your voice down, and that could possibly help you with a noisy room as well. But I mean, I would almost say just turn RTX voice on if you have a 2080 or 20 series graphics card. That might be your best option. You should really look at other reviews on that. That is phenomenal. But for right now, I've got the noise gate on, and I can toggle this off, and you can see that there's ambient audio in the room. And I can click my mouse or something like that, and you get that. And I just clicked my mouse a couple times more when it went silent, and it didn't hear it or it didn't pick it up. So that's great. And it's nice for just quiet spots and you're just typing something or something like that. Really helps you out and stay quiet within the chat or within the stream. So we've got our Overwatch, which I have moved down here. And I haven't explained this yet. This is a tiered system. So anything on the top is going to be at the very top, so the very front of your screen, versus everything else in the bottom is just going to be tiered down. So I'm going to put the middle screen up in front of the right screen, and you see that it got overridden, and obviously my middle screen is my Overwatch. I'm going to transform that. Got a little up, and I clicked the wrong one here. Middle screen. And so if I move these around, if I move the middle screen and the Overwatch screen, the Overwatch, the bigger one, will be superseded by the smaller one. Make sense? All right. So with that done, that is our basic streaming. I mean, you have your audio, you have your game, and if a screen capture if you need it. But really, you could just have your game running, and not have an issue. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you that these little eyes show whether or not they're on or off. I tell you guys it was uncut, right? It's just all me talking. Just that. All right. You can add a whole bunch of different sources. You can add an image. You can add a browser, which this is where you normally get like Twitch overlays. You can go from like Stream Elements. They have a pretty good, and it's a lot of them are free, just basic overlays that you can go into. But it's basically when you go into, for example, Stream Elements, they have a URL that you can copy, and so you just put in, overlay, and you would paste it right here. And I tend to type in here 1920 and then 1080 right here, just to already transform that screen into a full screen, into a fit to screen, because my size is 1080. If you had a smaller one for 720 or the 900p, you would change it to that specific one. You could also click on here to control audio via OBS, and I really like that just for the fact that if the overlays are really too loud, you can turn them down, and it just helps you out. Granularity is not a problem, not a bad issue to have, right? So this would be a Twitch overlay. Let me go ahead and just grab one just to give you an example here. I'm going to exit out of Overwatch. Alrighty. And so this is a basic, just normal flat. This is called purple flat end game scene or from Stream Elements. I'm gonna right click on it, go to properties, and I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust the property, put in the new link in there, and you right there you have, I do have to change that to 1920 to 1080. Hit OK. And I'm going to fit this to screen. Transform, fit to screen. And let's see here. I'm going to launch Overwatch again. And so you'll see the screen change. You won't be able to see me change it on here. I'm just going to be toggling this Overwatch view on here. Fit that to screen. And so if you were in the middle of a game and there we go. If you're in the middle of a game, you would add your face to that little box over there to the left next to Reinhardt's head, and you can put your you can do two things actually. You can put your game chat over there, or you can put a picture of you, or or a webcam is what most people do. Let's go ahead and exit out of here. I'm going to turn off that overlay just so you guys can see it a little easier. You have your fade option. You can switch over to different scenes, because it's only a scene option that'll give you a fade. Let me just add a different scene here. So scene 2. And when you add different sources, they actually stay there. So when you go to another scene, they're still here. So you can actually hit add existing, go to middle, and I'm gonna switch over, and it faded instead of I can, let's see here. You can make it a little longer fade here. There we go. Nice subtle fade going back and forth. That's nice to have on some things. And so a lot of people do change their screens to different scenes versus doing different sources. I like to do sources. So I like to have a game scene. And then all of my overlays. So I usually do like a BRB, an end, a start, and a chatting overlays, and those are all on the top. And then I have all my games. I just have all of them down in the sources down here, and they're all, for the most part, they're always all visible, mainly because I don't have them all open. I'm not gonna have two different games up at once unless it's maybe like a mini game or something like that I'm doing while I'm just talking, or waiting for like a queue or something like that. But for the most part, you won't see double or over because you can leave them on and they won't show anything. But I usually do that, but a lot of people will put different scenes here for each individual game and then copy that overlay to every single scene for start, begin, and then that gives you your transition, your fade, which is some people just like. Some people like to do that fade. I like it just to be snappy and to switch over. It's just me. All right, let me catch my breath, and we will begin with the next part, which is actually using the interface more. And you can tweak this. So if I move this slider up and down, I'm gonna be really loud or really quiet for my mic. And I've set it for most of my talking volume is in the lower half, unless the peaks there are in the middle of that yellow. You never want to go into the red. You go into the red, you get screeching and peaking, which will snap and crackle and pop in your stream, and you don't want that. A lot of people, especially with headphones on, will just stop watching you if you keep peaking it over and over again. So it's just always a good thing to watch out for. So I could probably go with turning that down a little bit more. And my problem is I switch back and forth between sides of my microphone, and it gets louder and it gets quieter. So we have a couple options here for controls. You have start stream, start recording, studio mode, and your settings, and then just exit OBS. You have studio mode. You can kind of set up your transition. You can go to scene, and you've got your scene on the top left, which is what's about to chains over to. So you can have the studio mode, click over here to a different scene, adjust all your settings over here, what you want visible, what you don't want visible, and then you can click the transition button to change it over to your active scene. A lot of people like to do that for granularity. Not a problem. I like it. I liked it when I first started streaming, but it's just gotten too complicated for me, and I usually just use like a Stream Deck or a Touch Portal as a different option, and that just allows me to switch scenes instantly instead of having to muck around with all of these options, all these visibility options. So I'm going to toggle studio mode off. You can move all of these. These are all movable objects, and you can actually stack them. So I'm going to put this guy over here, and over here I just put it on top of another piece, and so now it's just tabbed, and really nice, especially if you have limited screen real estate, and you don't need to use these controls a whole lot often, and you don't need to use this transition settings a whole lot either. The same with sources and scenes. Oh, if I can get it to stack, you can stack those on top of each other, and you can make the screen half. Let me see. Let me adjust my scene here so that way you guys can see. There you go. So I've got OBS to half of my screen here, and I still have plenty of room. I can move these back and forth. Mostly it's just going to be the audio mixer, and then usually my scene or my sources that I'm going to have visible. You can have them still split side by side, have them split from the bottom to the top. Just customize it however you want. There's also, if you do like a Twitch plugin, once you link your Twitch together, it will actually have these docks here. And these docks will allow you to add chat to your right side inside here. And again, you can put these outside, stretch them out however you want, but they can just dock right back in. See here, you can do your stream stats. Oh, went around on me. And you can put that in there, and that around. So there's a lot of customization when it comes to OBS, which is really nice, especially since it's open source. It's updating all the time, and having the availability to just customize as much as you want. Have fun with it. And a stream is never going to be perfect. A stream is never going to be correct. So as long as the stream is outputting correctly with your frame rate, it's not jittering, and you're not limited to space on your hard drive if you're trying to record YouTube videos or something like that, then you should be good. You can tweak the settings a little bit. I go to settings here, and I really like the downscale filter to be Lascos. Lang songs, whatever it is, the 36 sample option here, mainly because it seems to be the best performing option for my CPU. I have a 4790K, that's a 4-thread 8-thread 4 CPU chip, and it just seems to be the best option for me. It defaults to bilinear, I think. I can't change those settings now because I'm recording with OBS on another computer. But you'd go to audio to change any of your other settings here. You can make that, where is it? You can make that audio mixer. If I switch over to audio mixer, and I'm gonna hit file settings, and you can make the decay rate medium, slow, or fast. See how slow that's decaying versus what it was before. I go to fast. Decays quick. Just depends on you. Depends on what you want. There's also hotkeys, so you can specify a overlay that you want to be toggled on and off. You can overlay, turn on and off your overlays for your game if you want. And that could just be a hotkey that you want to generate. If you want it to be Control Shift Space, oh, it's not working for space. Control Shift Z, you can do that, and it will show Overwatch. And then you can just do the same with the other one. I think you can add more options to it. You can delete them. I do find that the hotkeys though have issues while in a video game. They sometimes don't work. The video games takes full control of all your keyboard inputs. Let's see here. Take an advanced. You can set your general priority. So let's say you're really pushing your CPU a little bit, and you need this to be putting out more frames to give you a smoother stream. Then you can change it to above normal or high. I usually just go above normal because I don't want any skip frames. And if you are having some serious issues with your frame rates, it's not a bad thing to go down to 720p or 900p, and then you can even it might be even a quicker change to just change it from 60 FPS to 30 FPS, literally halving the frame rate that it needs to put out. And you'll see warnings down here on the bottom left saying, "Hey, your video encoder is overloaded. You know, it's having troubles. It can't keep up with it." And you'll see it there. You'll see that there'll be a dropped frames bar down at the bottom here. Let's see. You can change your audio bit rate. Depends on how good your microphone is. You can change where you want your videos for your recording path to be. As I said before, the auto wizard set 6 kilobits per second, or 6,000 kilobits per second. Sorry, that's 6 megabytes for the most part, and that's the max for Twitch right now. That's max at 6 and 6,000 at 1080p. So if you've got 6,000 at 720p, your stream is gonna look really good. 1080p 6,000 is really not enough to get the good quality in there. It's usually around 10K is what you want for this, or for a 1080p stream. You can change advanced. You can change this to be advanced and show more items, show more granularity options. This is where you connect your stream account, whatever it is, with YouTube or Twitch. You can set up add-ons that you want to run. You can change your dark mode. You can change your theme here. There's a whole bunch of different options. Take a look at them. Look at them through. A lot of them have like a help when you scroll over them, things like that. Let's see. So with my computer, a lot of people like to do what's called a dual PC setup for streaming. And it really helps, especially if you have a capture card. But capture cards are really expensive. You know, for a 1080p, I think it's 120 FPS ones, you're looking at $200 for a PCI card, and you gotta have room on your computer for it. And for that, all you're really doing is duplicating the monitor that you normally game on, basically mirroring those two devices, and you're sending that audio and video from your desktop to the streaming PC, which is all it's doing is encoding your video and sending it up to your streaming service. You can have it do more. You can have all of your overlays and everything else on there, and you just game on your gaming PC, and that's it. That seems to be a lot more complicated. People end up having 2 different keyboards, 2 different mice on their desktop to switch through scenes and things like that. So I do everything on my gaming PC, and then all I do is send out a full max bandwidth of whatever OBS sees to another OBS client in my server room. And so I just have my Plex media server running OBS, and I'm actually capturing everything that my OBS on my gaming PC is showing. That way I have granularity on the PC that I'm at right now without having to have 2 different inputs, so 2 different keyboards and mice. And so I use the service called NDI. NDI output settings here. NDI is basically a network service that's setting up. So it basically creates a direct stream of what OBS is seeing. So this whole piece right here is technically what is being sent over, and it's just being sent over to my Plex server. And I'm going to bring over here, I remoted into my server. And so this is a double screen. This is my OBS on my Plex server, and this is the mirror from my gaming desktop. And so my Plex server is running. I've got an alright server. It's a i7-3770. But the majority of the time, that's not doing anything. And especially if I'm gaming, no one's really watching stuff off of my Plex server. So I've got that And the best part is I don't have to have it right next to me making noise or anything like that. I only have to have my gaming PC making noise in front of me. And I can monitor it remotely because I have Windows Pro to remote in. But it's just a simple and easy way for me to do it. And all you do is you download a plugin. Let me pull up NDI OBS. So I just Googled NDI OBS plugins. And you hit go to download. You download the plugin and you install this plugin on both devices. For some reason, I have the best of luck with OBS running while I install it. I install the program. It asks if you want to install it. Hey, there's already this source possibly in here. Click yes through all of them. Do not change any settings. Just click on through and it'll be done. It might ask you to restart your computer. Go ahead and do that. But once you're done, you go to Tools and you should see this NDI output setting here. You click on that, and on your gaming PC, you click main output. You don't do anything else. You just do main output, you hit OK. Now doing so locks out your video settings. That's why I can't change anything on here. Now, sorry, this is going to be a degrade of quality because I'm remoting in. But when I go to Tools here and I look at the NDI output on here, I don't have anything clicked. Just all this is being a receiver. And so if I can go to settings, I can go to video, and since I'm recording, I don't have any option to change anything. But going to here, all you do is hit new, NDI source, and right here, I've just named it my gaming desktop, but it gives you a drop down of different options. So I have the gaming desktop. It automatically links through your network, guys. It's phenomenal. You can change the bandwidth, so you can have the highest or lowest or only audio only. I usually just do network sync, and I haven't done allow hardware acceleration mainly because I'm already encoding. But if you see a lot of delay, that might help you guys out. Partial range, because I don't have HDR on here. Latency, I can do low, and low seems to be okay. This is what I'm currently recording with. I haven't done normal actually, so it might just be better quality. We'll see. But that's all it takes is just that. So on my OBS, all I have is my gaming desktop being seen. I have display capture if I want the display capture on my desktop, or on the Plex server, but that's it. And all you have to do on here is just link your Twitch to it, and bam, you're streaming up to Twitch when you hit start here, or start streaming. So it's just a nice way. Let me pull this back up again. It's a nice and easy way to make a 2 PC setup without having to buy a $200 card to plug into your computer, and then having another computer next to you available to plug in, and having another monitor to look at while you're doing it. So all I have to do is just remote into my computer, hit stop when I'm done streaming, and then it stops everything. But again, you have your single PC streaming, which is just your PC doing everything, doing the encoding, doing the playing. There's 2 PC setup, and there's 2 versions of the 2 PC setup, and that's NDI, and then the other version is capture card. The capture card is the best quality out of all of them. You're not degrading on the quality. You can go up to a 4K 60, I think, with Elgato capture cards, and I mean that's what I'm gonna have in the future, but I don't have $400 to buy that right now. But and that's because that has its own built-in encoder on it, and it's direct line. There's no issues. But the NDI for me is just the easiest way because my computer, it's powerful, but it can only stream and play a video game if it's a low resolution video game or not a very heavy video game. Like if I play Destiny 2 or COD, Modern Warfare, I'm not streaming off of one PC. It can't do it. My PC, just playing COD Modern Warfare, goes up to around 80 to 90% of my CPU utilization. And then having OBS on top of that, I'm almost at 100 every time. And that's OBS just running in the background. That's not OBS streaming at the same time. I would be overloading my CPU with that. So if you have any more questions about that, guys, let me know in the comments. I'd be glad to get upload another video about a tutorial that you need more in depth of anything else. I don't think I missed anything. There's profiles. Full screen here. There's profiles that you can change over. Basically, add different scenes and sources to you. Like I've got Untitled here. Untitled is my normal game setup. It's my normal screen capture. Obviously, I just removed stuff for you guys, but you can switch those back and forth. You can export and import all of your files or all of your settings. All it just goes to is a XML file, and just mess around. I mean, it's a really easy program once you get used to it, and I like it. It's free. What's not to love? You guys can see my other video, Touch Portal, or a review of Touch Portal. I just use it to automatically switch over my scenes and stuff like that from a tablet. Just makes it really easy. You get 14 free buttons when you use that device, or when you use the free license. And it's just an app that downloads and plugs right into OBS. It's so great. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was educational the most off. I know there's a lot of things, a lot of YouTube videos that skip around and skip over things. Let me know. I would be glad to review, and if I don't know it, I'm going to find out for you. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.